What's up, everyone, and welcome to the year 2022 and this week's Cybersecurity Weekly, where we review the security events that happened in the last week. As always, I've broken them down in the timeline so that you can jump around as you see fit. If you found my work valuable, of course, I ask you to hit the like button, share this video with somebody you feel might need this information, and subscribe to my channel. Let's jump right in.
Oh, drat these computers. They're so naughty and so complex. I could pinch them.
We start off with patches. The Apache Software Foundation released Log4j 2.17.1 version to address a recently discovered arbitrary code execution flaw tracked as CVE 2021-44832, affecting Log4j 2.17.0. CVE 2021-44832 is the fifth vulnerability discovered in the popular library in the last few weeks. Like the previous issues affecting the library, this one could be exploited by threat actors to execute malicious code on affected systems. Apache Log4j 2 versions 2.0-beta 7 through 2.17.0, excluding security fix releases 2.32 and 2.12.4, are vulnerable to a remote code execution attack where an attacker with permission to modify the login configuration file can construct a malicious configuration using a JDBC appender with a data source referencing a JNDI URI, which can execute remote code. This issue is fixed by limiting JNDI data source names to the Java protocol in Log4j 2 version 2.17.1, 2.12.4, and 2.3.2, reads the advisory. The flaw received a CVSS score of 6.6 and impacts all Log4j versions from 2.0-alpha 7 to 2.17.0. Versions 2.3.2 and 2.12.4 are not impacted. The vulnerability was discovered by Checkmark's security researcher Yaniv Nizri, who reported it to Apache on December 27th. Nizri also published details of the CVE 2021-44832, a flaw, in a blog post. He speculates that the exploitation of this issue is more complex than the CVE 2021-44228 one. This vulnerability doesn't use the disabled lookup feature. The complexity of this vulnerability is higher than the original CVE 2021-44228 since it requires the attacker to have control over the configuration, states Nizri. Unlike Logback in Log4j, there is a feature to load a remote configuration file or to configure the logger through the code, so an arbitrary code execution could be achieved with MITM attack, user input ending up in a vulnerable configuration variable, or modifying the config file. We move on to attacks, vulnerabilities, and updates. Microsoft Exchange on-premise servers cannot deliver emails starting on January 1st, 2022 due to a bug in the FIPFS anti-malware scanning engine dubbed Y2K22 bug. FIPFS is the anti-malware scanning engine used by Microsoft to protect its users. It was used starting with Exchange Server 2013. The security researcher Joseph Rosen explained that the root cause of this issue is the use of a signed int32 variable to store the value of a date, which has a maximum value of 2,147,483,647. This means that dates related to 2022 having a minimum value of 2,201,010,001 or larger can be stored in the signed int32 variable. The scanning engine fails to handle the date and generates an 1106 error as visible in the Exchange Server's event log. The FIPFS Microsoft scan engine failed to load. Error code 0x8004,005. Error description can't convert 2201010003. In order to fix the Y2K22 bug, Microsoft will have to use a larger variable to handle the date. Administrators of on-premise Exchange Servers instances can disable the FIPFS scanning engine as a workaround and allow email to restore the mail flow. I've tried forcing it to check for another date or for another update, but it returned MS filtering engine update process has not detected any new scan engine updates. I've temporarily disabled anti-malware scanning to restore mail flow to the net, reads the discussion on Reddit. Microsoft is currently aware of the Y2K22 and is working on a fix. U.S. online store PulseTV has disclosed a credit card data breach that has impacted more than 200,000 customers. According to the notification letter published by the Office of the Maine Attorney General, Visa informed the company on March 8, 2021 that its website, pulsetv.com, was a common point of purchase for some unauthorized credit card transactions due to a possible compromise. The company performed some security checks on its website, but did not find any indication of compromise. In July, the company was alerted again by Visa, but only a few months later, law enforcement informed it about additional payment card compromises that appeared to have originated from its website. The company started working a legal counsel that hired cybersecurity experts to assist with the investigation. On November 18, 2021, the investigators became aware that the website had been identified as a common point of purchase for a number of unauthorized credit card transactions for MasterCard. PulseTV believes that only customers who purchased products on the website with a credit card between November 1st, 2019 and August 31st, 2021 were impacted. The information that may have been compromised includes full name, shipping address, email address, payment card number, payment card expiration date, and payment card security code. Customers are potentially exposed to a broad range of frauds, including fraudulent card not present transactions. The company will take the following measures to prevent similar incidents in the future: adding two-factor authentication requirements for all internal devices, utilizing endpoint detection and response tools to provide greater network visibility and threat mitigation, migrating to a different payment system. The company is still investigating the security breach with the payment card networks and law enforcement, and it's notifying state regulators and impacted customers. The Have I Been Pwned data breach notification service now allows victims of the RedLine malware to check if their credentials have been stolen. The service now includes credentials for 441,000 accounts stolen by the popular InfoStealer. The RedLine malware allows its operators to steal several pieces of information, including credentials, credit card data, cookies, autocomplete information stored in browsers, cryptocurrency wallets, credentials stored in VPN clients, and FTP clients. The malicious code can also act as a first-stage malware. Stolen data are stored in an archive, or logs, before being uploaded to a server under the control of the attackers. A few days ago, the data breach hunter Bob Diachenko discovered an unsecured server exposing over 6 million RedLine logs containing data harvested between August and September 2021. So that's 6 million logs from different attack victims between August and September 2021. Within those 2 months, 6 million logs. The server is still accessible, but the researchers pointed out that threat actors abandoned it because the number of logs is not increasing. The insecure server contained numerous LastPass credentials stolen using the RedLine malware. Diachenko decided to provide the data exposed on the server to Troy Hunt, who operates the popular data breach notification service Have I Been Pwned. In December 2021, logs from the RedLine stealer malware were left publicly exposed and were then obtained by security researcher Bob Diachenko. The data included usernames, email addresses, and plain text passwords, reads the announcement published on the HIBP website that announced the availability of the 441,657 unique email addresses stolen by the RedLine malware. If your email address is listed in the RedLine malware logs, you have to change the passwords associated with that email account for any other account that shares the same credentials. Of course, you should never use the same credentials on different platforms, number one. But if you did, for some reason, maybe years ago, before you knew, you need to change it. Users also have to change passwords for any account accessed through the infected machine. Users are able to scan the machine to remove the installed malware. Researchers from Tenable have discovered multiple vulnerabilities in the latest firmware version 1.0.4.120 of the popular Netgear Nighthawk R6700 version 3 Wi-Fi router. An attacker can trigger the vulnerabilities to take full control of the vulnerable devices. Below is the list of flaws discovered by the researchers. CVE 2021-20173, which is post-authentication command injection via SOAP interface. CVE 2021-20174, default HTTP communication web interface. CVE 2021-20175, default HTTP communication over SOAP interface. CVE 2021-23147, insufficient UART protection mechanisms. CVE 2021-45732, configuration manipulation via hard-coded encryption routines. And CVE 2021-45077, plaintext password storage. Researchers discovered multiple instances of known vulnerable jQuery libraries such as jQuery 1.4.2. For this reason, they are urging to update them to the latest available versions. Experts also discovered that the version of mini-DLNA.exe running on the routers is affected by publicly known vulnerabilities. They recommend upgrading to a more recent version. The researchers also reported that the device uses a mini-DLNA version, which is known to be affected by multiple flaws. I think we just said that. The vulnerabilities affect firmware version 1.0.4.120, which I mentioned in the beginning, which is the latest release for the device. Tenable pointed out that at the time of this writing, the vulnerabilities are yet to be addressed. Researchers from Sylvain Pellissier have discovered that the DataVault encryption software made by ENC Security and used by multiple vendors is affected by a couple of key derivation function issues. An attacker can exploit the flaws to obtain user passwords. This week, Pellissier detailed the vulnerabilities at the Chaos Computer Club's Remote Chaos Experience virtual conference. DataVault is an advanced encryption software to protect user data. It provides comprehensive military-grade data protection and security features to multiple systems. Multiple vendors, including WD or Western Digital, Sony, and Lexar, use the DataVault software. Pellissier discovered the issues through the reverse engineering of the software. The vulnerabilities have been tracked as CVE 2021-36750 and CVE 2021-36751. iLOBleed is a previously undetected rootkit that was spotted targeting the HP Enterprises Integrated Lights Out ILO server. That's why ILO Integrated Lights Out server management technology to tamper with the firmware modules and wipe data off the infected systems. The Integrated Lights Out is a proprietary embedded server management technology from Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, which provides out-of-band management facilities. The module has full access to all the firmware, hardware, software, and operating system installed on the server. The attacks were spotted by Iranian cybersecurity firm MSBuild. This is the first time ever that malware targets ILO firmware, and it's the first time ever I've heard of MSBuild. The experts explain that malware targeting ILO could be very insidious because it runs with high privileges above any level of access in the operating system, very low level access to the hardware, and it cannot be detected by admins and security software that doesn't inspect ILO. The persistence achieved by tampering this module allows the malware to survive to the reinstallation of the operating system. The rootkit was employed in attacks since 2020. Threat actors could use the iLOBleed rootkit to compromise organizations using HP servers. According to the researchers, unlike other wipers, this one is designed to conduct stealthy operations for extended periods. One of the most outstanding capabilities of iLOBleed is the manipulation of the ILO firmware upgrade routine. When the system administrator tries to upgrade the ILO firmware, the malware simulates the version change while preventing the upgrade routine. The level of sophistication of these attacks suggests the involvement of an apt group. Experts concluded that the attackers could infect ILO both through the network and through the host operating system. The AvosLocker ransomware operation provided a free decryptor after they encrypted the systems of a U.S. government agency. Oops. According to Bleeding Computer, the gang hit a police department, but fearing the reaction of the U.S. law enforcement, opted to release a free decryptor to the government's entity. The incident is casual. One of the affiliates of the ransomware as a service service hit the government agency, and AvosLocker discovered the name of the victim only after their malware encrypted its systems. Recently, major ransomware operators were targeted by international operations conducted by law enforcement. In recent months, the police identified and arrested members of the affiliated with several gangs, including Revel, Egregor, and Klopp ransomware gangs. Despite the success of the police operations, ransomware gangs continue to target organizations worldwide. In 2021, several groups rebranded as new operations to evade sanctions. Bleeding Computer, which has reached out to AvosLocker gang, said that its operators are not worried about law enforcement as they have no jurisdiction in the motherland. This is another problem. The fight against ransomware gangs needs the collaboration of law enforcement agencies of any country, especially Russia, where many ransomware groups have their origin. China-linked cyber espionage group Aquatic Panda was spotted exploiting the Log4 shell vulnerability CVE 2021-44228 in an attack aimed at a large academic institution. According to the CrowdStrike Overwatch team, the app group is using a modified version of the Log4j exploit published on GitHub on December 13th. Threat actors used the exploit in their attacks for reconnaissance purposes. In the attack against the unnamed academic institution, threat actors targeted a VMware Horizon Tomcat web server that was using the Log4j library. The attackers were observed performing multiple connectivity checks via DNS lookups for a subdomain under dns.1433.eu.org running on the VMware Horizon instance. The researchers explained that multiple threat actors utilized publicly accessible DNS logging services like the dns.1433.eu.org to identify vulnerable servers when they connect back to the attacker-controlled DNS service. The attackers executed multiple Linux commands on a Windows host on which the Apache Tomcat service was running, some of them with the intent to retrieve hacking tools from remote infrastructure. Aquatic Panda conducted reconnaissance from the host using native OS binaries. It also attempts to stop a third-party endpoint detection and response service. Then, the threat actor downloaded additional scripts and then executed a base64 encoded command via PowerShell to retrieve malware and 3 files with VBS file extensions from remote infrastructure. The files are a reverse shell, which was loaded into memory via DLL search order hijacking. The app group also made multiple attempts at credential harvesting by dumping the memory of the LSAS process using living off the land binaries. The threat actor also leveraged WinRAR to compress the memory dump for later exfiltration. The good news is that the attack was spotted by the researchers and experts alerted the target organization that quickly addressed the vulnerable system. T-Mobile has suffered another security breach. Threat actors gained access to the accounts of a small number of customers. According to the T-Mobile report, which viewed T-Mobile internal documents, there was unauthorized activity on some customer accounts. The attackers reviewed customer proprietary network information and carried out SIM swapping attacks on a small number of customers. Affected customers fall into one of 3 categories. First, a customer may have only been affected by a leak of their CPNI, reported the TMO report. The second category an affected customer might fall into is having their SIM swapped. The final category is simply both of the other 2. Affected customers could have had both their private CPNI viewed as well as their SIM card swapped. Customer proprietary network information exposed in the attack could have included billing account information, phone numbers, number of lines on the account numbers, and rate plan info. T-Mobile customers should remain vigilant and unsolicited text messages or emails pretending to be from T-Mobile. Unfortunately, this is the last incident in order of time suffered by the company. Below is the list of previous incidents. So in August 2021, there was a security breach impacting 54 million customers. In February 2021, hundreds of users were hit with SIM swapping attacks. In December 2020, T-Mobile disclosed a data breach that exposed customers' network information. In March 2020, threat actors gained access to T-Mobile customers and employee personal information. In 2019, T-Mobile disclosed data breach affecting prepaid wireless customers. In 2018, data breach exposed personal information of up to 2 million customers. So there's a long list of data breaches and hacks against T-Mobile, showing that their cybersecurity plan needs a little bit of tweaking. Amedia, one of the largest media companies in Norway, was hit by a serious cyber attack and was forced to shut down its computer systems. The company is whole or partial owner of 50 local and regional newspapers with online newspapers and printing presses and its own news agency called Avisnes Nyhetsbyråer. The corporation also owns and operates a group of printing plants under the brand name Prime Print in Russia. The attack took place in the night between December 27th and December 28th and hit systems administered by Amedia Technology, the IT company of the group, the IT arm of the group. The attack blocked the presses, and it was not possible to print Wednesday's edition of physical newspapers. The cyber attack also impacted the company's advertising and subscription systems. On the night of Tuesday, December 28th, several of Amedia's central computer systems were shut down. The production of online newspapers is going as normal, but no paper newspapers will be published on Wednesday. This is because systems for publishing paper newspapers, advertisements, and subscription management do not work as normal, reads the statement published by the company. Amedia states that all available resources are now working to solve the problems and uncover the extent of the cyber attack while it is working on restoring operations, the media company informed the local authorities. At this time, it is not clear if the company was hit by a ransomware attack or if threat actors have stolen personal information of subscribers and employees. The impacted subscription systems contained user data, including names and addresses, phone numbers, and subscription forms and history, and this means it is reasonable to assume that data might have been exposed, and in this case, the company will notify impacted individuals. The cyber attack did not impact financial information. Researchers from NTT Security reported that China-linked BlackTech cyber espionage group targeted Japanese companies using new malware tracked as Flagpro. Attacks using Flagpro targeted multiple companies in defense, media, and communications industries several times. According to a report by NTT Security, Flagpro has been employed by the app group at least since October 2020. The most recent sample analyzed by the researchers is from July 2021. Flagpro was used as a first-stage payload for reconnaissance purposes. It also downloads second-stage malware and executes it. The attack chain starts with phishing messages that were crafted for the target organization. Phishing messages are disguised as an email with a target's business partner. The spear phishing messages use a password-protected zip or RAR attachment, and the password is included in the content of the email. The archive contains a weaponized Microsoft Excel file. Upon executing the macro, the code creates an executable in the startup directory of Flagpro. Flagpro communicates with a command and control server, and it receives commands to execute from the server. Or Flagpro downloads a second-stage malware and then executes it, reads the analysis published by NTT Security. The attackers check the target's environment whether it is suitable for running the second stage malware or not. If they determine to attack the target, another malware sample will be downloaded and executed. The commands from a command and control server are encoded with base64. NTT researchers also identified a new version of malware dubbed Flagpro version 2.0, which can automatically close dialogues relevant to establishing external connections to reduce a risk that a user detects an external connection by the malware. The activity of the BlackTech app was first detailed by Trend Micro in 2017. The group focuses on targets in Taiwan, Japan, and Hong Kong and is aimed at stealing technology. Recently, the cyber espionage group has started using other malware strains tracked as Self-Make Loader and SpiderRat. While LastPass says that it is not aware that some of its accounts were compromised in the recent credential stuffing attacks that started on Monday, numerous LastPass users claim that their master passwords have been compromised after receiving emails warning them that someone tried to use them to access their accounts. Someone just used your master password to try to log into your account from a device or location we didn't recognize, reads the warnings. LastPass blocked this attempt, but you should take a closer look. Was this you? The email warning sent by the company informs the users that the login attempts have been blocked due to the unusual origin locations. Many users that received the email warnings stated that their master passwords was only used to access the LastPass service and were not shared with other web services. This circumstance, if confirmed, suggests that the password manager service was compromised, but at this time there is no evidence of compromise. Security expert from Morphos Labs recently observed several malicious campaigns of using Microsoft Build Engine to execute a Cobalt Strike payload on compromised machines. MSBuild is a free and open source build toolset for managed code as well as native C++ code and was part of .NET Framework. It is used for building apps and gives users an XML schema or schema that controls how the build platform processes and builds software to deliver malware using callbacks. Morphos Labs security researcher and SANS Internet Storm Center handler Renato Morinho revealed to have uncovered 2 different malicious campaigns that were abusing MSBuild for code execution. The malicious MSBuild project employed in the attacks was designed to compile and execute specific C# code that in turn decodes and executes Cobalt Strike payload. Now, let's look at the malicious MSBuild project file in Figure 3. Using the same principle, when called by MSBuild, it will compile and execute the custom C#, decode and execute the Cobalt Strike beacon on the victim's machine, wrote Marinho. In the attack scenario described by the researcher, the attackers initially gained access to the target environment using a valid remote desktop protocol account, then leveraged remote Windows services for lateral movement and MSBuild to execute the Cobalt Strike beacon payload. The beacon was used to decrypt the communication with the command and control server, which was SSL encrypted. One way to decrypt the SSL traffic is to use a man-in-the-middle approach. To this end, I used the project MITM proxy. The communication schema when using a tool like this is to make the client, the Cobalt Strike Beacon, talk to the SSL proxy and make the SSL proxy to talk with the command and control server. In the middle proxy, we will have the traffic unencrypted, added the expert. In order to analyze the code executed by the malicious MSBuild project, the expert decrypted the variable buff that will store the decrypted malicious content. The researcher implemented the same decryption function in Python to decrypt the code and analyze it. The expert pointed out that using the Windows Defender application control policy, it is possible to neutralize these attacks by blocking malicious applications that could execute malicious payloads. Shutterfly is an American photography products and image sharing company that owns multiple brands such as Borrow Lenses, Groove Book, Life Touch, Shutterfly, Snapfish, Spoonflower, and Tiny Prints. The service allows users to create personalized photo gifts, such as a smartphone case, photo books, wall art, and home decor. The ransomware attack compromised parts of its network, including manufacturing and corporate systems. As a result of the attack, thousands of systems have been infected with ransomware, and threat actors stole corporate data. Shutterfly.com, Snapfish, Spoonflower, and Tiny Prints websites were not affected by the security breach. According to Bleeping Computer, Shutterfly systems were infected with Conti ransomware, who claims to have encrypted over 4,000 devices and 120 VMware ESXi servers. The ransomware gang set up a private data leaks page containing screenshots of files allegedly stolen from Shutterfly. The security breach took place 2 weeks ago, and the company is still working to restore operations with the help of third-party cybersecurity experts. Checkpoint researchers have published a detailed analysis of the double feature tool used to log post-exploitation activities and attacks conducted by the Equation Group and involving the Danderspritz malware framework. Danderspritz made the headlines on April 14, 2017, when it was leaked by the Shadow Broker hacking group along with other tools and exploits belonging to NSA's arsenal. The leak was by the experts. As lost in translation leak. Danderspritz has a modular structure and includes a wide variety of tools for persistence, reconnaissance, and lateral movement. The tool also includes features to bypass antivirus engines and perform other malicious activities. The core functionality of Danderspritz is included in the file dszlpcore.exe in the Windows/bit path. Double feature is one of the plugins used by the attack framework. The analysis of this core component could allow the incident response team to analyze the compromise of their infrastructure. Double feature is a dashboard written in Python that also works as a reporting utility to exfiltrate the logging information from the infected systems. The cyber spies can view the log file using a specialized software dubbed Double Feature Reader.exe, which can be available in the plugins tools directory. Double feature monitors different plugins such as Remote Access Tool, United Rake, tracked by Kaspersky as Equation Drug, and Pedal Cheap, the Straight Bazaar backdoor. The logging tool also monitors an espionage platform called Killsuit, aka Greyfish, and other tools known as Flu Avenue and Divebar. StratBizarre SBZ is a backdoor used for stealthy data exfiltration, which is performed over the custom protocol dubbed FreezeRamp. Killsuite is a plugin used to run other plugins on the infected system, providing a framework for persistence and evasion. The tools also allow to monitor a validator implant named MistyVeal that allows to verify that the targeted system is indeed an authentic victim and not a research environment. The website Planet security team discovered an Amazon S3 bucket owned by logistics giant D.W. Morgan that was left unsecured online. The S3 bucket contained more than 100 gigabytes of sensitive data relating to shipments and the company's clients, including some Fortune 500 companies such as Cisco and Ericsson. The researchers discovered the open AWS S3 bucket on November 12, 2021, and notified the company the same day. On November 16, 2021, D.W. Morgan secured the S3 bucket. According to researchers, the database contained more than 100 gigabytes worth of data with 2.5 million files detailing financial, shipment, transportation, personal, and sensitive records belonging to D.W. Morgan's employees and clients worldwide. These included Global 500 company Ericsson and Fortune 500 company Cisco. Although the database was discovered on November 12, 2021, the details of it were only shared by Website Planet last week. Exposed data included signatures, full names, attachments, phone numbers, goods ordered, cargo damages, process photos, process details, billing addresses, dates of invoices, shipping barcodes, unknown documents, delivery addresses, facility locations, prices paid for goods, photos of shipments, photos of package labels, images of on-site documents, transportation plans, and agreements. At the time of this writing, it is not clear whether the content of the S3 bucket was accessed by threat actors while it wasn't secured online. Clients of the company could be targeted by malicious activities such as phishing campaigns and scams due to the exposure of their data. The threat actors behind the SRX ransomware are targeting network-attached storage devices. Users reported numerous compromises of the devices a few days before Christmas. According to Bleeping Computer, forum users reported an intensification of the attack since December 20th. The analysis of submissions to the ID ransomware service for this specific threat started to increase on December 19th and reached a peak on December 20th. This time, it's not clear how threat actors compromised the QNAP devices. Some users claim that attackers exploited a flaw in the photo station software to hack them. The attackers first create a user in the administrator group, then use it to encrypt the content of the NAS. Experts noticed that the threat actor behind this campaign mistyped the extension of the ransom note using the .txtt extension. The Echo Rakes ransomware operators demand a ransom ranging from roughly $1,200 or 0.024 Bitcoin up to 0.06 Bitcoins or $3,000. In August, a new variant of the Echo Rakes ransomware started infecting network-attached storage devices from Taiwanese vendors QNAP and Synology. The Echo Rakes ransomware has been active since at least 2019, when experts from security firms Intezer and Anomaly separately discovered samples of the ransomware targeting network-attached storage devices. NAS servers are a privileged target for hackers because they normally store large amounts of data. The ransomware was targeting poorly protected or vulnerable NAS servers. Manufactured by QNAP, threat actors exploited known vulnerabilities or carried out brute force attacks. The ransomware tracked by Intezer as QNAP Crypt and Echo Rakes by Anomaly is written in the Go programming language and uses AES encryption to encrypt files. The malicious code appends .encrypt extension to file names of encrypted files. In May, QNAP warned customers of threat actors that are targeting its network-attached storage devices with Echo Rakes ransomware attacks and exploiting a Rune server zero-day vulnerability. Independent experts observed a surge in Echo Rakes infection reports between April 19th and April 26th. In the same period, the vendor also warned its users of an ongoing AvosLocker ransomware outbreak. Researchers from Red Team Pen Testing discovered multiple backdoors in a popular VoIP, voice over Internet Protocol, of course, appliance made by the German manufacturer Auerswald. The backdoors were discovered as part of a penetration testing. They allow attackers to gain full administrative access to the impacted devices. The researchers performed reverse engineering of the firmware image for the Compact 5500 version 7.8a that was downloaded from the Auerswald support website. The researchers used Ghidra for their analysis. It is the open source reverse engineering tool developed by the U.S. National Security Agency. The experts started investigating the password reset functionality that requests access to the web interface. Digging through the code, the researchers discovered that the username used for authentication is compared to another string. ivar5 equals strcmp, or string compare, character username Chandala appears to be an undocumented special username. It is the name of a village in northern Germany where Auerswald produces their devices. Ooh, that's bad. Further analysis of the code revealed that the implementation of string copy of the manufacturer, error_strncpy, ensures that the string is properly null terminated, and the backdoor password actually consists of only 7 characters of the MD5 hash, as shown here. The backdoor password allowed the experts to reset the administrator password and gain full privileges on the PBX. Then the pen testers looked for invocation of the same password generator in other places of the code. During the pen testing activity, experts also found other vulnerabilities a readout credentials from a single IP telephone for CVE 2021-4856, which allowed to access the PBX with limited privileges. An attacker can escalate these privileges to subadmin with using the CVE 2021-4857 to configure the PBX. Red Team Pentesting reported the issues to Auerswald on September 10, 2021, and the German manufacturer addressed the issue with the release of a firmware update in November 2021. The Apache Software Foundation has released the Apache HTTP Server 2.4.52 to address a couple of vulnerabilities tracked as CVE 2021-44790 and CVE 2021-44224 that can lead to remote code execution attacks. The CVE 2021-44790 is a possible buffer overflow when parsing multi-part content in mod_lua of Apache HTTP Server 2.4.51 and earlier. The Apache HTTP team is not aware of attacks in the wild exploiting this vulnerability. A carefully crafted request body can cause a buffer overflow in the mod_lua multi-part parser called from Lua scripts, reads the advisory published by the Foundation. The second flaw, tracked as CV 2021-44224, is a possible null dereference or SSRF in forward proxy configurations in Apache HTTP Server 2.4.51 and earlier. The Apache HTTPD team is not aware of an exploit for the vulnerability though it might be possible to craft one. US CISA recommends users and administrators review the Apache announcement and update their installs as soon as possible. With that, I say thanks again for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't already, and smash the bell if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.